Hello everyone and welcome back to the AEW reviews. We're back again with another AEW Dynamite review. This week's Dynamite, I believe, we are now 1 week out from the 1 year anniversary of Dynamite, and there's been a lot of good stuff on Dynamite over this last year. So I'm very excited just to get to that and for Dynamite to keep growing and keep progressing. I might make a video talking about the strengths and the weaknesses of Dynamite over the first year and AEW as a whole, going into the first episode, or the 1 year anniversary of Dynamite rather. But that's not why we're here today. We're here for another Dynamite review. So let's just crack on with it. And the show opened with Darby Allin and Ricky Starks. The show opened with a little promo package sort of detailing the rivalry. And then Starks came in the ring, Darby came in the ring, and they got in the ring, and as soon as the bell rung, they got in each other's faces, and Ricky Starks just slapped Darby Allin really hard. As soon as he was slapped though, Darby came back with a massive drop kick which sent Ricky to the floor, and they just brawled. They kept brawling. It was amazing. You really do get a sense that the pair of them absolutely hate each other, and Darby does everything with such a level of intensity that, you know, we're kind of saying, I don't know if how big the ceiling is for Ricky Starks in AEW. I love him. Personally, I love him, and I do think he's world title level. But I don't know. I feel like on his talent alone, on his merit alone, like Ricky Starks is world championship material. But I know he's only been there for a short amount of time. Me and Em were kind of discussing last night how far we really think he can go, and I'm not entirely sure if he, at his size with his moveset, could make it there, but Darby definitely could. He moves with his level of intensity. Everything he does feels like it really hurts both him and his opponent, but his opponent more, so he's just going to keep doing it. And like I said, they're two fantastic performers, and they've got incredible chemistry. Eventually, Ricky Starks is sent to the outside, and Darby's warming up for a dive when Brian Cage runs out. And as Brian Cage is running out comes Will Hobbs to fend off, to run interference on Brian Cage, setting up a match which was announced later on for next week. Brian Cage is wrestling Will Hobbs for the FTW World Championship, and I know Tony Khan said on a media call recently that will be defended, but it's going to be like a separate entity from the world title, and it will be presented differently. So maybe it's a big fucking Hoss title, which I love a Hoss title. It's like the Atlas Championship in Progress. Anyone heavier than 205 pounds. Doug Williams, Volter, Trent Seven, just all these dudes. So I love a big Hoss title. So hopefully, because they're two big fucking dudes, hopefully we can get a Hoss title. But yeah, immediately after Will Hobbs is sent, or brawls to the back with Brian Cage, Darby goes out to the apron to grab Ricky Starks, who just grabs his arm and throws him right over his shoulder to the floor in an absolutely terrifying looking bump. It looked fucking horrible. They get back in the ring and they go back and forth for a little bit more, and then eventually Darby goes for a sort of pop-up roll through stunner, hits it, goes then springboards off the second rope and is speared out of midair by Ricky Starks, only for a near fall. I thought that was it. The match didn't go too much longer. Eventually Darby Allin did win with a coffin drop off the top rope to Ricky Starks, who was lying on his front, so it was in like the small of his back, and I wouldn't be kicking out of that either, I can tell you that for free. This was obviously a fantastic match to start the show. I want Ricky Starks on Dynamite more. I think Ricky Starks is great. His match with Cody was amazing. His match last night was amazing. But he kind of been playing, third fiddle to Cage and Taz as being a part of Team Taz, which, I mean, is fair, because he's not as big a star as Taz or Brian Cage. But I would like to see him on Dynamite more so he can prove himself more to the people who haven't really seen a lot of him. Yeah, I'm one of them. I watched some NWA and I liked him, but I've not seen too much, and I would like to see a lot more. Fantastic match to open up the show, and I mean, Dynamite always opens good. No half-hour promo segments, so that's always a plus, isn't it? After the match then, we had Cody's entrance. Cody's big, elaborate, overly long entrance. And then we went to ad break, and we came back, and he stood in the ring with Dasha. And Dasha, kind of asked him, what are you thinking? He goes, well, I was beat 3 minutes after defending this championship against everyone. In 3 minutes, I was embarrassed. And then I took some time off to heal. I think he said, he was like, the guy who trained me, Al Snow, told me, always work hurt, never work injured. And then I said, what if, the injury isn't as important as the moment? And he said, and I kept pushing through, and then I was destroyed by Brody Lee. And he was talking about that talent show that he's the judge on. He goes, I went out to Hollywood to judge a talent show with Snoop Dogg and Rosario Dawson and someone else I can't remember. And he was saying, who am I? What's my legacy there? I'm the guy that just got beat. And then Dasha asked if he's going to accept his challenge offered out by Mr. Brody Lee for the dog collar match. And he said, no. As an EVP, my role is too important to this company, so no. He walked away and he stops on the ramp, and then he turns back, comes back in the ring, starts screaming, no, as in, no way, I'm not going to take this match. Starts screaming and accepted the match for next week, for the 1 year anniversary of Dynamite. And then Mr. Brody Lee comes barrel into the ring, and there's a massive pull-apart brawl that goes for so long. And the Eric Young segment from 2 weeks ago on Impact, when he beat up the Deaners for like 7 or 8 minutes, that felt too long because there was nothing happening. But this pull-apart, like, everyone was there. People were jumping in from the crowd. And obviously it's a pull-apart. We've seen so many pull-aparts. But the fact that Cody's back with this new look, this new, like, fire, and obviously it's Brody Lee, it was great. Brody Lee, like, walked to the back, came back. Anna Jay and Brandy got involved. Brandy came off the top rope and took out all the Dark Order on the outside. It was chaotic. It was great. I was a big fan. So, yeah, next week, dog collar match. Cody, obviously is a big fan of old 80s territory wrestling. He's Dusty Rhodes' son. He's obviously a fan of, like, Mid-Atlantic and, Jim Crockett and all this kind of stuff. And it shows. It really shows. Like, AEW is booked like an old school territory from, like, 1982, but with the presentation of modern wrestling, and it's so perfect. Obviously, I had the first ever cage match with Wardlow, which felt like an old, like, Dusty match up until the moonsault. This dog collar match now, so I'm very excited for this next week. And Brody Lee is going to, he's going to make Cody his bitch, isn't he? Oh, he's going to make Cody his bitch. I'm going to just tie my hair up because it is getting in the way. We then go backstage to Tony Schiavone interviewing FTR, and he asked them, he said, last week we thought we were going to get a 20-minute brush with greatness against the Best Friends, but that never happened. Why is that? And they said, well, look, the Best Friends, they're participation trophy level. SCU are up here. SCU were the first ever AEW Tag Team Champions. We have a lot of respect for them. The Best Friends are all right, but they're not on our level. We're here, and SCU are also up near our level. And then Tony said, what about the Young Bucks? But before he could answer his question, Matt Jackson just super kicked him. So after FTR are saying to Matt, after he's kicked Tony, they're like, urchins are right here. You could kick us, but you don't. Why are you going after everyone else? And then the camera cuts to SCU backstage getting ready for their match. And as they're walking to the tunnel, Sean Spears has just stood right next to the tunnel. And, he wishes them good luck. And it took me a couple seconds for it to properly register. But Sean's obviously been hanging around with Tully. Tully is managing FTR, but they've not yet merged. They've not, joined forces yet. So this is just a subtle wink at that, which we will be getting soon. And also, Hangman Page was on commentary for this match, drinking a whiskey. This match was good, as you would expect, but the big story through the match was Hangman Page on commentary. Hangman said at the start he's not done with the tag division. He wants to get the titles back, and that's why he's on commentary. He's just coming to scope out the competition, see what he can learn. And the match itself kind of played second fiddle to that. It was a fantastic match. Right towards the start, Dax hit the ropes and tripped himself up as he was near. Daniels on the outside, Christopher Daniels on the outside. He hits the ropes and then takes a front bump and looks at Paul Turner and he's like, grab my foot. You could see clear as day Daniels had like his hands in his pockets or something. But Daniels gets sent to the back. There was, not a lot of super memorable spots from this match. It was just very solid wrestling all the way through. There was a bit where Cash was on the ground. Cash was on the ground and Dax went to... No. Dax is Scott Dawson, I think. Cash is here. Cash Wheeler is here. So Dax was on the ground and Cash went to kick Scorpio Sky, who caught his foot and flipped him back for a moonsault press onto his partner, which was great. There was a bit towards the the end of the match when Cash ran at Scorpio Sky, who moved out the way, and he like jumped and like sort of crotched himself on the middle rope. But like I said, it was a fantastic match. It was obviously great. Frankie Kazarian's amazing. The four of them are just four of the best. But I was focused more on Hangman on commentary and what he was doing to put the story over going forward with FTR and their tag title reign. And right at the end, Scorpio Sky went to suplex Cash into the ring, and Tully tripped him and then held his foot down. Dax was holding on to Tully, and they got the win at 17 minutes roughly out of the 20-minute time limit that the match had. And that was amazing. The thing I like about FTR is it's a bit like heel Kurt Angle, like 2005-06 Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle's like, I can win. I won the title clean. They won the titles clean. They're like, we can win. We're better than you, but we've tried everything and you're not going away. We want to just go backstage and drink a beer or a fancy wine or whatever. So now we're going to cheat, but we've proved that we can hang with everyone legitimately. And I'm pretty sure, I don't think they won the titles in a screwy way. I can't remember them winning it anyway. So they've got the titles. Why would they not do everything to hang on to that, that champion's payday? So I like this. I really like the booking of this. But once again, like I say, the big story was Hangman on commentary. And after the match, it was announced we are having an 8-man single elimination tournament, which culminates at Full Gear, with the winner getting a shot at the world title. And the 3 men announced so far are Jungle Boy, Rey Fenix, and Kenny Omega, which shocked Hangman. So, more intrigue with that. I don't think Kenny's going to win. We're probably going to get him and Hangman at Full Gear. Or maybe he will win, and then we'll get him and Hangman at Revolution for the title. I'm excited. Either way, it's going to be good shit, isn't it? Chris Jericho was wrestling one half of Private Party next, and that one half was Isaiah Cassidy. This came after last week when Jericho was making fun of Matt Hardy, and then Mark Quinn stepped up and Isaiah Cassidy said, nah, I'm going to do it. And this was a good match. It started off really fast with Isaiah Cassidy just too quick for Jericho, getting a couple near falls early on. It did spill out to the ring a couple minutes, or outside the ring a couple minutes in, and Cassidy dodged Jericho and threw him into the crowd when he took out his pal, his good old pal, Dr. Luther. And as he was getting back in the ring, Luther said something and they had a little scrap, a little tussle. I think he dropped him. I think he punched him and dropped him. But yeah, the match was good. It was just, Jericho was on the opposite of Triple H's Reign of Terror from like 2003. Because even when Triple H would lose, he was burying whoever was beating him. And now, even when Jericho wins and beats a young guy, he puts them over, something huge. Like, Isaiah Cassidy looks amazing. Jungle Boy had that match, and that put him on the map. You've got Darby Allin had the match for the title really early on. Even Hangman really legitimised Hangman as like a main event player instead of like, I mean, everyone knew he was going to be a main event player, but that match was like a proper big moment for him. Down the stretch, Jericho goes for a lion salt, and it's countered as Cassidy gets his knees up, who then runs and hits his own for a near fall. And then he goes off for a springboard, and as he's coming in, just gets hit with a Judas effect, and that's it, obviously. But then after the match, the Inner Circle start trying to jump. Isaiah Cassidy, Matt Hardy runs in for the save, as does Mark Quinn. Matt Hardy's holding the chair. And as they run to the outside, then Luther jumps Jericho. Luther and Serpentico jump Jericho and Hager, and Jericho escapes with his tail between his legs. And now, next week, we have the Jericho 30 years in wrestling celebration. So he won't be wrestling Luther on the 1 year anniversary. But I'm intrigued to see where this goes as well. With probably a tag match is the best way forward with Serpentico and Hager. I would enjoy it. I quite like. Is it Chaos Project? I don't like them that much, obviously, but I quite like Luther and Serpentico. Yeah, this match was really fun. Isaiah Cassidy looks amazing. Like I say, everyone who steps in the ring with Jericho looks great these days. And Jericho's just doing his bit to make stars, and I love that. Then we get a vignette of Kip and Miro palling about. And Miro's trying to plan the bachelor party. And they're at like an axe throwing place. And they're getting bullseyes because they're the best. And Miro's on the phone to someone and he's like, look, no, I need to plan this bachelor party. And it needs to be the best. And then Kip's like, Miro, you're up. Then Miro runs and he throws his axe. And then they're at an arcade. And he's once again like I think they're playing some old arcade game. And then Kip goes to the toilet and Miro's like, clearly, he's like, I need to work this out. And then someone walks over in a white suit, who I think someone said on Twitter, he's the guy with the world record for Donkey Kong. Maybe. He's clearly a magic man because he walked over in this white suit with an American flag tie, and the camera cuts to Miro, and then it cuts back and his tie's changed to a Union Jack tie for some reason. He's clearly a magic man. Could have picked a fucking good flag, like a tricolour or a saltire, or a decent flag, but he can still at least, magically change his ties to horrible Imperial powers. That's a whole rant for another day. But he promised Miro he would help him plan the best bachelor party ever, and then I think it's implied that Miro then whooped him at whatever arcade game, probably not Donkey Kong though, if that's what it was. But yeah, this is a fun segment. It was the right level of silly because Miro and Kip are silly, but they shouldn't be treated as a joke. And I like this. And I wonder when the bachelor party is. Next week, maybe? No, I feel like they would announce the bachelor party ahead of time. I don't know, but I'm excited to see when it happens because it's just going to be silly bollocks, and I love silly bollocks in my wrestling. Like last week when when Chuck Taylor called FTR weenies. And speaking of that, we then cut backstage and Dasha was interviewing the best friends, and they were talking, and FTR comes in and interrupts them, and they start talking about how, we're here, you're okay, but we're all the way up here, and that's why we wouldn't wrestle you last week, or you're not on our level, da-da-da-da-da. And then the best friend sort of like step back, and Orange Cassidy walks in with the mic and just lifts it up and just looks at them and just goes, weenies. And then they walk away, and Orange Cassidy goes to have his match with 10 of the Dark Order. This match is a very quick match. It was under 3.5 minutes, but it served its purpose right at the start. 10 took the sunglasses off Orange Cassidy's face and put them on John Silver, who is my favourite wrestler in the whole wide world, who was walking around ringside just hamming it up to a severe level with his sunglasses. 10, Big Preston Vance is an absolute freak athlete. He, at one point, Orange Cassidy comes off for a crossbody and he catches him, and then he sort of spins him round like that, and then has him with an end of days. For a near fall really early on. It was great. 10 does, put the boots in on him, and then goes to the outside, and believe it's Reynolds and Silver come up and hug him from either side, and Taz is making fun of Excalibur, screaming, gotta give the people what they want. And then Orange Cassidy comes off the top rope to the outside with his sort of hands in his pockets, takes them out. Trent then steals OC's sunglasses back. 10 goes into the ring, hits him with an orange punch, hit with a beach break, and that was it. And it was a fun match, like I said. It didn't need to go longer than 5 minutes, I don't think. Although, personally, I don't really like that Orange Cassidy is now trying every week. I don't know. Obviously, it's good seeing him be, one of the best wrestlers in the world and being so over. But like, the thing that endears me to Orange Cassidy isn't his work rate, which I know is there. We all know it's there. But the thing that endears me to Orange Cassidy is the silliness, and silliness is still definitely there. But he doesn't have a reason to care against the Dark Order, which I don't know. But I do have confidence that it will go somewhere because I'm very confident that all AEW storylines will go somewhere because they listen to the fans. They're like, hey, you watch everything. What do you like? You don't like this? Okay, we'll stop doing this. We then go backstage for another backstage segment, possibly my favourite segment of the night. And MJF is there with Wardlow outside the Inner Circle's dressing room. And Wardlow's got a big box of presents. And they chat at the door, they walk in and they're like, look, hey, great match, great win. Judas Effect, whoa, what a guy. And they're just there doing that thing they've been doing for months. They started on that one episode of Dynamite where they're, just very they're giving each other the compliments because they're now faced with the other one. They're like, oh, you're the best ever, Chris Jericho. And is it Max, future world champion, MJF, look at you, no, look at you. And they're doing all this. And then Wardlow's got the big box of presents. So he puts it down and Max unwraps it and goes in and he goes, I got you all this, got you all presents. And he pulls out jackets, Inner Circle jackets. And he's like, there's one for Big Hager, there's one for Ortiz, Santana, there's one for you, Jericho, there's one for you, Le Champion, you got your jacket. And then he looks into the box. And in the box, there is not a jacket for Sammy. And Sammy gets mad. And tensions rise and Hager and Wardlow get up in each other's faces, but Max sort of cools it down, so does Jericho, and he's like, Wardlow, how do you forget one jacket? We bought 5 jackets, how do you forget one? And there's a whole thing, and then they start doing the thing. Jericho goes, Max, I asked you a question a long, long time ago, and I think I know that's why you're here. Max, do you want to join the Inner Circle? And then Max looks and goes, I think you'll remember, Chris, I actually asked you a question before the first time you asked me that, and I actually never got an answer to that, so I'm just going to ask it to you here, because I've been waiting for an answer longer. Do you want me to join the Inner Circle? And they do that. I don't know, do you want to join? I don't know, do you want me to join? They do that for another bit. And then they kind of laugh it off, and Max and Wardlow leave, and they're like, we'll get your jacket, Sammy, don't worry about it. And as they're leaving, Sammy goes to be, what a loser, and Jericho cuts him off. He's like, no. Maybe he's not that bad after all. That was a fantastic segment. It's just so much fun. I just love it. MJF is great. Jericho's great. The Inner Circle are great. I mean, the comedy in AEW speaks for itself because it's actually funny. And there's not good wrestling comedy if you watch WWE. There's just not. Doesn't exist. So I love this. Next, then, Britt Baker had a proper return to in-ring action wrestling Red Velvet in just a squash match. It was done in about 4 minutes with a swinging fisherman neckbreaker. But after the match, locked in Lockjaw, and Reba brought in a black glove, and she hooked in Lockjaw deep to really announce that she is back and ready to fuck up everyone's day, week, month, year, everything. So yeah, this was good. Wasn't great, but obviously it's just a sort of squash match to re-establish Britt Baker as a star who's coming back. It's now main event time, and Eddie Kingston walks to the ring flanked by the Lucha Brothers, and the main event of tonight is Eddie Kingston gets to pick Jon Moxley's opponent. So Kingston walks out and he goes, I want Jon out here. I want him out, bring him out. So out he comes, and then he goes out and says, like, whoa, you're not fighting me. I had my chance last week. I didn't submit. Oh no, sorry, first of all he brings out Bryce. He's got Bryce under his arm. He's like, Bryce, I didn't tap out. You didn't hear me say I give up. So what gives you the right to finish that match? And Bryce goes, look, it's my job. You weren't responding, so I ended the match. And Mox kind of comes out, and he's on the outside, and he's got Penta and Phoenix on the other side of him. And he's like, look, Mox, you're not wrestling me. I had my chance last week. I didn't tap out, but I didn't win. It's not me. Look at me. I'm not dressed to wrestle. They're here, but it's not going to be one of them. And I was 100% correct in my call. As Moxie's looking, so Eddie Kingston is out the ring. The hard cam's facing down the ramp. Ramp's here. Mox is in the ring, looking down on the floor at Eddie and the Lucha Brothers. And as we're looking at hard cam, the Butcher sneaks into the ring behind them, wearing a pair of white Levi's, Doc Martens, and a butcher's apron. And Eddie goes, you're not fighting me. You're fighting my friend, though. No, it's not one of these guys. No, it's not one of them. You're fighting the Butcher. Bryce, go and ring the bell. And then Bryce rings the bell, and he turns around and he's just leathered by a massive clothesline. Massive fucking lariat from Butcher. This match, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying it followed the Cena formula of big bad heel, gets in a lot of offense really early, then Mox fights back and was able to put him away. But once it had that for the start, it wasn't like a few clotheslines, a couple knees, paradigm shift, that's it. When Mox started getting back into it, it was a lot more back and forth then. It was a lot grittier. Butcher hit a fucking meaty looking crossbody running from at one point for a near fall. I can't imagine what it must feel like getting hit with a crossbody off of Andy Williams. Butcher then goes to the middle rope and Mox pops up, runs up and hits him with a superplex for a near fall. And then a pile driver for a near fall. And they get back up more. Butcher sort of fights back into it, goes up the second rope again and hits a crossbody for a very close near fall. Like I said, I can't imagine taking one running, imagine one when he's coming in at the angle. Oh, he's such a big man. They fight for a little bit more and then Butcher goes for a clothesline, which is ducked by Mox, who hits the paradigm shift. Not the big one, just the sort of, just the standard one, not the high angle one. Just hits a paradigm shift for 2, Butcher kicks out, and then locks in the Bulldog choke for the win. And there was no big post-match beatdown, just Mox standing tall, valiant, and Eddie Kingston being pissed off. This was a great match. I enjoyed it. Was a bit sort of Cena paint by numbers at the start, but came back and was a fantastic way to end the show. So that was this week's Dynamite. So that was this week's Dynamite. I'm going to give it a number out of 10. I'd probably say an 8. I would say an 8 for this week's Dynamite. The only thing that held it back, there's a couple of things that held it back for me. Having Britt Baker come back with a squash match, I thought was a bit weird. And the Eddie Kingston Moxley stuff. It's not that I'm mad that this is happening, but, you know, obviously he's got his match with Archer next week. And obviously Archer can't be here because Archer tested positive and had to take 2 weeks off. But I feel like the Kingston stuff could have been put on hold after he had the match last week. It was still a great match, and I do like that they're legitimising Butcher. But, you know, I feel like maybe Mox could have just cut a promo or had an in-ring interview. Although it's Jon Moxley, and this is obviously where he thrives. I just find it a little bit weird and disjointed looking back on it, but in the time and in the moment, I loved it. So yeah, next week is the 1 year anniversary of Dynamite. I'll make a video between now and this day next week talking about the best bits, the not so good bits, the stuff like that, everything in between. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. Like I said, there's going to be at least 2 videos a week, 2 reviews a week, maybe a discussion-y one. Podcast will be coming back soon. Please like the video, share it around to your friends. If you know anyone who likes wrestling, maybe they'll like me, or maybe they'll hate me, but send them this either way. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.